Get everybody settled in. I'm so excited. Oh, I see some investors on the I see some frenzies. I love it. So at the Brink SBDC, we have friends who become entrepreneurs who become friends and friends who become entrepreneurs. We have investors who become friends who become investors. So we're all about a community that builds upon each other, and excited to have everybody here for this presentation and this workshop. This is meant to be the 10-minute pitch prep workshop, primarily for San Diego Angel Conference, whoever has gone on to become semifinalists. That's why we have it at this time in the year. But this is, I also know that there's so many more people on this call, and it becomes evergreen for anybody who's going through a process. So usually any kind of process with angel groups or a pitch competition, you usually get to a 10-minute pitch. When it's a little bit more in depth, it's right before due diligence, maybe. So just wanted to give you that sense of like where you are as an entrepreneur when you're deciding to do a 10-minute pitch, or when you have actually been asked to do a 10-minute pitch. So with that, I wanted to make sure that I share my slides really quick, because we're going to go through all of this. Oh, I forgot to actually get another YouTube ready to go. So I will probably have to like pause in a little bit to make sure that I get that up and running. But we're going to start right now to showcase this. I have so many people admitting all of that. Where am I? Okay, there we go. I'm going to go in screen. So I really caught it like the expanded 10-minute pitch deck presentation examples and smart practices. So I actually reached out to about a half a dozen of my portfolio companies this morning, because I said, oh, do you guys have a 10-minute pitch example, or can you come on? And we do have a video of one of my portfolio companies, Oku, that won a pitch competition. It is a 7-minute pitch competition pitch that we are going to review in a little bit. But that was one of the feedback that we got from another workshop that we did, which was your 3 to 5 minute pitch, that we really wanted to dissect a real life 10-minute pitch. So I'm listening to your feedback and making sure that we are giving you the right things. So what's included in this guide of 10 minutes, I want to just make sure that everybody knows it's not just me. I'm very cognizant that I have, and I'm an angel investor. I'm Dr. Silvia Mah, and I have my own angel investing thesis. And then we have VCs that have their own investment thesis. And sometimes when you're hearing these kinds of workshops, you get really kind of down a rabbit hole of somebody's thesis. So I want you to know that this is aggregate wisdom from a lot of the brightest minds of angel investing accelerators that kind of put everything together. It is not what I would say. How do you pitch me specifically? Is how you pitch any angel and any VC. Personal experiences that I've been in years and years and years of venture capital and in angel investing. So I've heard so many pitches, and also I've run accelerators and pitch resources. So want to make sure that this is information from a lot of different kinds of pitch opportunities that we have in San Diego nationwide, that all of this kind of comes together in this. And then the proven successes that I've invested in 200 plus companies. So I've seen a thing or two of pitch decks, and 10 minutes and 5 minutes and 15 and 2 and 3 and 5 and 10, all those things. So I have that kind of view. Just want to make sure that you're taken care of. So next up is, let me just go to this one, because this is the 10-minute pitch workshop that I did in 2024. So if you click on here, this is the Brink SBDC site. If you go onto YouTube, here is the Brink SBDC, and this is polishing your 10-minute startup pitch. I made sure this is different than this video. This video is going through my tried and true ultimate pitch deck review of all the slides, and giving you, line by line, how do you build out those slides. So this is a complement to that video. So go and check it out. You will get this PowerPoint if you did sign up for this workshop afterwards. So let me go back to this. Can you go back? Can you see my pitch? My slides? Anybody? Yes? No? I'll make sure.
Yes.
You can see the 10-minute
We
pitch
can't
workshop.
see your slides.
You cannot. Okay, I'll stop sharing. and I'll come back again. Thank you, everybody who helped out here. You see my slides now? Yes?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'll go back to this. The ideal slides for a 10-minute pitch. You have seen this before if you've done any of my 3-minute pitches. But this is literally the 12-slide startup pitch deck that is pretty tried and true of how you would build out a 10-minute. Now, with this, we have like slide number 1 is the opening, cover and title. You have a problem, the gap, the opportunity, then you have your solution. Then you have your market validation of the market size, your TAM, SAM, SOM, or the circle diagram that shows that you are in the middle of all of these markets that are, kind of separate, but they're united because you're creating a really great offering. Slide number 5 is business model, revenue model with key revenue streams. I always love business model slides that have like that you're organized so we can really quickly say, okay, that's a B2C or B2B business model. Slide 6 is competition, your differentiators, market fit, and I'll go through each one of these, but I just want to go through them really quick. Slide 7 is go-to-market strategy. Now, this is one that when you're doing like a shorter pitch, this might not be something that you go through. You might put it into the appendix. In a 10-minute, you should go after your go-to-market strategy. If somebody's seen you before, this 10-minute pitch is like that, like you're kind of breathing, right? A little bit. You're expanding their knowledge of what you do as a company. So that's beachhead market and next markets. Then, of course, the team. If you've done before just one slide on your team, you can go a little bit further into 2 slides of a team presenting your team. Just be careful. That can go into like a 2-minute dialogue or monologue of what you're doing. So just be careful on that. Traction is another slide that's really important in the 10-minute. In the 3-minute, you just kind of go through it really quick. The 10-minute, you want to pause and breathe a little bit to say, this is exactly what we've done. What's important for the semifinalists today, or other ones that are pitching to investors and they've seen you already, sometimes this is a great slide to be like, okay, my traction since the last time you saw me is this. Right. So this is a really perfect slide to do it. And of course, in the Q&A, you can go into it even further as well. So for financial projections, usually in a 3-minute or 5-minute, you're going through it really fast. 10-minute, you can again pause and talk about them a little bit more. I like to have a financial projection in a 10-minute that you have maybe little stars up. If you have like an inflection point that you go from, let's say 10 million revenue to like 100 million, a 10x jump. I wish for everybody to do that, right? Don't we all want to do that? But if you have some kind of inflection point or something that kind of is where somebody would really see, well, what is happening there? You might put a little note in that slide to say, this is why we're doing that. We're going to Amazon, or we're switching from B2C to B2B because we're going to increase the volume play by partnering with businesses. The slide number 11 is the ask, the capital raise, the typical use of funds slide. And that's something that's constantly being changed and updated because you are actively fundraising. Then 12 is a closing slide, contact details, questions, and all that. I always say you should have a floater, an executive summary of where you are, investment summary of why you would be the best startup for that investor to invest in. Now, the one thing that you do need to add for a 10-minute pitch, because usually it's 10-minute pitch plus 10 minutes of Q&A, or 10-minute pitch and a longer Q&A. There's just more information people want. I would highly, highly recommend that you have an appendix kind of set up and prepared. You probably have already done a 3-minute, you know what their questions are. You want to put in the first couple of slides of the appendix exactly those questions that they're asking you. So you're being very, very purposeful and presenting them the information that they care about and that you have updated and that you want to increase their knowledge on. So that, again, that expansion of what they know about you. And the outcome is that you get the next meeting. Right? You don't want to bore them with like 10 minutes and like they don't even know what you're doing, or like they're more confused. You want to increase that knowledge, but still keep them really interested in your startup and get that next meeting, whatever that next meeting is if it's a process, quarterfinals, semifinals, you want to make sure you get to that final 6 as it is in SDAC, San Diego Angel Conference, or the final 5 or the final 4 in a pitch competition, or get the final recommendation in a fund. They're usually looking at half a dozen companies at a time to like just figure out how do I allocate my funds based on the investment thesis that the LPs have, limited partners have actually put money into the fund. So think about that. You're always competing with other companies and you want to get that interest level going forwards. So with that, I wanted to, I'm going to go through a couple of slides to just discuss a couple of them that have some of the entrepreneurs have a little bit of a hard time. So potential appendix slides are historical information, detailed financials, and strategic elements. So just giving you a little bit of a list. The historical information is a little bit of like the timeline, your history or your milestones. You might be able to go to market or some kind of historical view in the 10-minute with a really quick timeline, but you might want to go into something in particular if it's very important. Like you've done a really great pilot study on a timeline, you can have pilot study, but you might want to have a whole slide in your appendix that talks about that pilot study, just in case they have a question. Prior funding details and capital structure. Then detailed financials is revenue expense breakdown, LTV versus CAC, that's lifetime value versus customer acquisition cost. A break-even analysis, something that allows you to tell your money story a little bit better, a little bit more expanded. And then strategic elements are, let's say, a client pipeline. You probably won't be able to go through it in your 10-minute because you want to go through, have a complete story in your 10-minute. But maybe the client pipeline is saying, okay, we have actually talked to 10 of the 50 people that we have at the top of funnel. They have actually bought to do this. And this is how we're pulling them through the pipeline. That's a very great way to mitigate the risk of them not understanding your pipeline, but be able to have it in your appendix that you can go through it a little bit more in depth. Partnership agreements, if you do have that, you don't have to have like the agreement on a slide, but just what are you talking to them about? How is it going? And then growth strategy as well. So those are really great potential appendix slides that you can go into it. And then I would just say 2 asterisks to that one, as I said before, whatever they have been asking you, you want to put that as an appendix slide. You want to be proactive on that. And number 2, which I have not mentioned, is that anything that's specific to your industry, let's say a medical device out there, you might want to have 2 or 3 slides in your appendix that go deeper into what that medical device is so that you are prepared for that Q&A when they ask you about, talk to me about more about your technology, because we've seen you already. We're intrigued. Let's dive in a little bit further before they go into due diligence. So you want to distill it enough that they understand the technology and you're going to deep dive into your due diligence. So those are my 2 asterisks to just the potential appendix slides. Next is building your dream team, that slide that you have. You want to make sure that they understand your core team essentials. Why are you the best team possible? In an earlier 3-minute pitch, you're just flying through. This is the executive team. These are the team members and move on, right? But that core essentials, who are they? Concise formatting in bullets, even in the 10-minute, and then showcase the leadership, demonstrate why you are the real team, and that experience matters. And then also layer on top your mentors and your advisors on a second slide. Then market problem and current solutions. So we really want to identify a big market problem that you're solving, addressing a significant unmet need. If you have not talked about it before, you can really dive in a little bit further. You don't just take 15 seconds to talk about the problem. You can go 30 seconds on the problem and analyze current solutions. What I would highly recommend with figuring this out, if you don't know that, is to do one of those business model canvases or the customer canvas that you looking at the needs and the current jobs that they're doing. And then they have the square on this side or the opposite side, what you are building. So if you don't know that, I would really go into both of those canvases. It's lean methodology. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just ask the Brink for that information. Present the opportunity, market evolution, create space for innovation, right? So what is that opportunity that you are really going into and making sure that your company is filling that need and that opportunity? So when they leave this slide, they have a really great concept of what the market problem is. It might be 1 or 2 slides. It might be a tam sam sum, and that is matched with the opportunity that you have at the beginning of the slide. So just make sure that they're leaving your presentation, your 10-minute with these things down packed. Your solution and demo. So show, don't tell, right? Just don't say like, you know, this is my product, this is what it does. You want to show them. You don't want to just tell them. You want to show them how it works. You want to have screenshots of your app or your software solution or your medical device or your process of how you're developing or doing drug discovery or how you're doing AI plus something else. Make sure that they understand what the whole solution is. And if you have to dive in a little bit further, you do have enough time in a 10-minute to dive in a little bit further. Don't dive so much that they lose interest. Okay, you're kind of getting the theme here. Keep interest high because 10 minutes is a little bit longer and you might lose people. So 10 minutes is great. It's greater than a 3-minute, but you can lose interest. Prepare screenshots, tell a story about your solution, show your core values. Is it better, faster, cheaper, right? That selling proposition is super important, right? So don't get lost in the details, keep it strategic, but make sure that you really are talking to them about what the solution is. Next up is traction and performance, that you want to make sure that the traction also, it's in the eye of the beholder. Some investors want the traction of how many users, what's the revenue, what are you doing, but more concrete, and other ones about more recognition. So that's why I gave you a couple of these, that when you showcase your traction slide, think about these 4 elements: key milestones of significant achievements, recognition, accelerators, awards, media coverage, but know and be aware that some investors do not believe that that's traction. Next is growth metrics, client acquisition, monthly growth, pipeline development. All of those things you can dive into in the 10-minute. Client results. If you do have a lot of client results, I would highlight in a 10-minute pitch a slide that has maybe all your testimonials. Whenever I see something like that, I always tell the entrepreneur, if there's a lot of text, you can highlight in yellow what the actual like value is. Now, like the testimony would be like, oh my gosh, I love this product. Da, 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 da. It made me go faster in my recent marathon. You want to highlight that and then kind of blurb out the rest of it. You blur out the rest of it. So you can do that, but just make sure that they're seeing concrete testimonials. And then, so that's the client results. Next up is market fit and competition. So remember to pitch why you're 10x better, not just 3x better. Your biggest competitor is often the status quo. So you want to make sure that you can do it something like this, you know, like your company, the competitor A and competitor B, if you have that. You've also seen in my other video, I gave you an XY axis. You can do a table. You can do a lot of different things, but know that you're not just comparing yourself with whatever else is out there and you're just a tiny bit better. What are you considerably better? I have questions all the time of if there's a group of small competitors, put them in a group of small competitors and you can actually talk about it a little bit more than the 3-minute when you just fly through competitors. And you also want to have known competitors that are bigger, Dropbox or Google or whatever that is that people can recognize and understand. Okay, so familiarity and also industry specificity. Competitive advantage. You want to make sure that you are talking about what your advantages are. Do you have an unfair advantage? Sustainable advantages. Is there a long-term defensible factors that you can really defend, you know, talk to them about? Is there intellectual properties, patents, and proprietary technologies? And the biggest things that some people don't say in the 3-minute, which you can say in the 10-minute, is barriers to entry, right? Is there so much money, time, expertise, and relationships that will allow somebody to come in or not come in? And this is something that's a great discussion. I see it more in the 10-minute pitch and Q&A process, is that somebody might ask you, like, why wouldn't Google be able to do this? Why hasn't somebody done it, right? So those kinds of questions are what you can kind of dive in a little bit further in 10-minute. Again, 3-minute, you're flying. You're saying, my competitive advantage is X, Y, and Z, done. And we take it as face value as investors. But the 10-minute, we get to sit a little bit stronger and longer with what you're presenting. So just those barriers to entry are really important. Next up is revenue model. Make sure that you go through your revenue streams, pricing structure, recurring revenue, and revenue math, right? So wanted to make sure that we're talking about all these. Again, 3-minute, you might have 2 blocks of information, B2C, B2B, and you move on, right? In the 10-minute, you're going to have the same information, maybe just a little bit further down of like what the pricing structure is, or what does that look like? What kind of partnerships are you involved with? And you're not going to put so much text on a slide that people get overwhelmed. You want to walk them through that. So that's that. And then this is the expense model and marketing strategy. So if you don't have a marketing strategy quite yet, that's fine. But I always love to remind entrepreneurs, you're looking at a funnel, right? I know that this is like an AI generated thing, but like money coming in, top of funnel is more like awareness and interest, right? Looking at how do you get these all, it might be education. Then they need to make a decision and then action to buy. So how are you doing that? And if you have any numbers on that, walk through it with them for the investor. 3-minute, you will not have enough time to do that. 10-minute, you do. And it's something that investors want to dive in and crunch into a little bit more. What is that strategy? Are you seeing the traction? What are the numbers that you're seeing? What is the pricing that you're seeing? How much are you being able to sell it? What is some awareness and education that being put in, so they can get the whole view of like, wow, this is an opportunity that I want to invest in because the customer wants it and is driven to buy it. That's what they want to know. So the financial projections are, the typical. I've already kind of gone through this a little bit at the very beginning, but you want to make sure that you want to show the 5 to 6 year projections. You want to look at like early stages, 1 or 2 years, maybe it's historical, plus 3 to 5 projected. So it depends on where you are. Market penetration is display total addressable market versus acquired clients, and show that realistic growth from 0 to 1.5% of penetration at the 5-year mark. So if you're looking at TAM, SAM, SOM, this serviceable, obtainable market, right at the very bottom of your concentric circle, needs to equate your 5-year projection typically. So if you don't have that congruence in the 10-minute, it will like shout to the investors before they're going through it really, really quick. They're not really maybe seeing it, but they love your energy or anything like that. But now they're going to see it a little bit more with a critical eye. And then key financials, present revenue and expenses, EBITDA, and margin percentages. So just look at all of that together. So financial projections detail, we want to make sure that we're talking about all of this. I think that this is I think I duplicated it, but exit strategy is something that sometimes in the 3-minute you don't go into. You might go into the Q&A, but you really need to put this in the 10-minute because they're going to ask you it. So acquisition path, how are you going to get that likely exit? Who are the financial buyers that are in the space? What are comparables in that space right now, right? You know that your comparable in 7 years is not the same as it is right now, but giving them an idea that the industry is active and there are acquisitions happening, that's important. So with that, and then, so some guidelines on pitch deck is that I kind of presented right now a 15 to 30 slide a core deck. I said 12 slides, but those 12 slides might be 1 or 2 to explain correctly. Keep the slides clean to 1 to 5 bullets per slide, even in the 10-minute, people, and then 5 to 10 words per bullet. They use a font size 20 plus and consistent formatting. That's important when you're kind of going from a 3-minute to 10-minute and you're trying to like add things and you're adding it from other pitch things. Just pause and go back and make sure like all your font is correct, all the bullets are correct, all the same colors are the same, because investors, when they see the 10-minute pitches so much, we see the most critical little things. I know whoever's on the call, who's been in the session with me, I see the double like spaces, like as if they're like yelling at me, right, kind of like that, because I see pitch deck so much. I see all the little things. I wish I didn't, but it's just part of, as investors, when we see so many of them, just so be consistent as possible with fonts and colors and all of that. So I'm going to, I think the rest of them is, yeah, this kind of stuff. So I want to go into, I'm going to stop my sharing, and I need to get the example that I got from one of my portfolio companies so that we can review it. Give me 1 second. Copy this. I love the functionality of copying things from your phone to your computer whenever they're connected. It's the best thing since sliced bread. So it's pasting right now, and I can get the video up. Give me 1 second. So again, this video is from Oku Energy. It is gummies. This is the old packaging, but it is gummies that you take so that you can have more energy throughout the day, as if like you're going to have a cup of coffee, but then you don't have the crashes. So really yummy. So good. So that's that. Let me just have them. It is not copying and pasting. Okay. YouTube, there we go. I think it's going now. Perfect. And she said it was like at 1 minute. 1 minute.
And there
we go. I'm going to share. Can somebody tell me that they can hear the video? Let's see.
we'll thank you.
Yeah.
And then we'll.
Yes.
We
Yes.
expect to be right on time.
Great.
There's 2 hours today. But we're really looking forward to make with you.
Let's see if I can get it. Oh, it's 1 hour and 14. That's what she was trying to tell me. I'm like, I don't, here it is. She was so nice to. So this is Oku. The founder is Carolyn Hamlet. I'm going to put it in widescreen. And she actually won this pitch slam competition. It is a 7-minute pitch. So you'll see that, you know, a 10-minute obviously is a little bit longer. You'll see that when she presents, she could maybe go a little bit slower to get a 10-minute. Not that she didn't have to go slower for the 7-minute, but just want to make sure that you understand that. I'm going to go
Turn it over to
this.
Susan to do the introduction.
All right, our next pitch will be from Carolyn Hamlet, founder of Oku.
And was
Oh.
from organics and blood sugar and that.
I completely messed it up.
Appreciate it. And we are going to thank Lily one more time and move on.
I need to stop sharing this and then go back because I went into a different type of view. There we go. Give me 1 second. Sorry for the technical aspects of this. There we go. Share. I'm going to go down here. I do not know why. Okay, now we go. One more time. As soon as I stop sharing, it works. There we go.
On to our next presenter. I'm going to bring up to the panel here. And as soon as she arrives, we're going to turn it over to Susan to do the introduction.
All right, our next pitch will be from Carolyn Hamlet, founder of Oku Conscious Energy. Oku's gummies have natural caffeine, are low in sugar, and offer 4 grams of fiber in every great tasting serving. Take it away, Carolyn.
Great. Everyone see my screen?
Not yet, Carolyn. If you could
Oh, okay.
share it. There you go. I will start the timer and good luck.
Great. Thank you, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. I'm Carolyn Hamlet, founder and CEO of Oku Conscious Energy Gummy Snacks. What if I told you we're in the middle of an energy crisis? Not just the kind that fuels our homes, but the kind that fuels our lives. As a mom, entrepreneur, and someone who doesn't drink coffee or energy drinks, but has a terrible sweet tooth, like a few other people, I felt this problem firsthand. I needed energy to keep up with my demanding days, but every option came with a trade-off. Nothing fit my lifestyle or values, so I had to build one. Oku isn't just another energy product. We're the first conscious energy snack that delivers what consumers actually want, the ability to energize without compromise. What makes us different? We're clean energy without the crash. We use 100% non-GMO ingredients. We provide additional functional and desirable benefits. We're dietary inclusive, being vegan and gluten-free. The gummy format offers customizable dosing. We're GLP-1 friendly. We're delicious, satisfying your sweet tooth, yet a reduced sugar. We're portable and convenient, and we use sustainably sourced packaging and are impact driven. So the bottom line is we offer energy, function, taste, and better for you ingredients all in one. With this profile, Oku is positioned at the nexus of several high growth trends. But beyond that, Oku aligns with the consumer shift towards low glycemic and fiber-rich snacks, fueled by the rising popularity of GLP-1 medications. And when it comes to format, gummies are one of the fastest growing formats in functional snacking, driven by consumer demand for convenience, better for you ingredients, and portion control. With these accelerating market forces, we are perfectly positioned to define the future of energy snacking. At Oku, every ingredient serves a purpose because what's inside matters. To that point, our consciously curated functional blend includes organic green tea and yerba mate to provide clean caffeine for sustained energy without jitters or crashes, goji berries to provide a powerful antioxidant-rich superfood, coconut water to provide electrolytes for hydration, tapioca fiber to support a healthy gut and satiety, and allulose, a next-generation sugar alternative. Unlike traditional sugar, it doesn't spike blood sugar or insulin levels, making it ideal for metabolic health and GLP-1 users. And in each five gummy serving, and there are 2 servings in one package, there are just 70 calories and 60 milligrams of caffeine. Many energy products cut corners on ingredients, but we don't. Oku's crafted for mindful snacking offer a smarter way to energize. There are many ways to get energy out there today, but no single product checks every box like Oku and delivers what consumers want without compromise. So where are we today? We launched on Amazon in December of 2024, and the response there and on our website has been overwhelmingly positive, from non-coffee drinkers to workout enthusiasts to tired parents, busy professionals, and college students, proving that conscious consumers are craving a better energy solution. Excuse me. This followed a very busy and productive period for us during Q2 and Q3 2024, where we completed a formulation update, a brand refresh, setting the stage for growth. This led to the 50,000 unit production run in Q4, made mainly for Amazon with our new contract manufacturer, a key milestone in scaling our supply chain. And just last week, hot off the press at Expo West, Sprouts greenlit us for an innovation launch in almost 50 Southern California stores slated for August of 2025, after an unexpected yet very serendipitous meeting with the president of Sprouts. The buyer was excited about how we are actually defining a new category. Oku is also earning industry recognition. Taste Radio featured us with their Expo West episode just this past Monday. You all have the link in the deck. The second time I've been interviewed by them in 12 months. These early wins validate that we've created something special and now we're ready to scale. To support our growth, we're using a proven go-to-market strategy to maximize impact and profitability that includes ramping up digital and SEO, a heavy emphasis on demos and samplings at community events and with collaborations, social media efforts, particularly TikTok, where we believe we have a great opportunity, as well as influencer partnerships. With significant input from CPG experts, we built a ground-up set of financial projections that reflect a thoughtfully calibrated omnichannel strategy with a clear path to profitability, showing 65% gross margins by 2029. So why am I the right person to do this? I have a history of being a pioneer. First as a computer science major when few women were present, then on Wall Street where women were also scarce at the time. Later, I became president of MP3.com International, the first ever internet music site during the .com era, and went on to being a serial entrepreneur building free financial services companies. My expansive global network, built through 20 years of Young Presidents Organization with experience living abroad, gives me unparalleled access to the resources necessary to build a brand from the ground up. But most importantly, Oku is my ikigai, a Japanese concept that means your reason for being. It's the intersection of what you love, what you're great at, what the world needs, and what can be sustainable. And it's no coincidence the word Oku is rooted in Japanese. It reflects energy and tension we all carry within us. That's what this brand is about, and that's why I built it. I have a team of active investors, advisors, and operators, former CEOs of Holiday Inn, Jenny Craig, American Express, and Susan Juice. And I would be remiss in not calling out Jeff Church for all of his contribution. So with a solid team and clear vision, we're raising $875,000 on a safe to execute this plan. As both Ray Latif from Taste Radio and the buyer Sprouts indicated, we're carving new ground. We have everything in place to bring Oku to the world, enabling more people to energize without compromise. An experienced and passionate team, the trifecta of taste, function, and convenience, an innovative product with even more ideas to follow, the right product at the right time, growing traction with an upcoming Sprouts launch, scalable business model with a clear path of profitability. Oku isn't just another product, it's a category-defining opportunity. Okay, are you ready to join us? Thank you.
Okay. So I hope everybody kind of had an example. That was 7 minutes. So you probably felt like she was going longer than you're like, okay, so I need to get the next slide and the next slide. You know, you wanted it to be a little bit maybe shorter, but it actually isn't. So you now feel what it feels like to be an investor in her company. And you'll see that at the very beginning, she had her problem slide, the solution slide. Then she went into market, and then she went into her ingredients. Then it was traction and timeline. So, and then team, why she is suited for this. And then her advisors. So because the reason why she did team is because this is Brandjectory. It was a pitch competition of all CPG companies. So again, she knew her audience. It's all CPG. You just have to convince people that CPG is the place to go. She has to just convince people that she's the person who needs to win this pitch competition. So I hopefully you kind of got some of the points that she was trying to get through. I'm going to share one more time my pitch deck, and then I can take all the questions that you have. So let me just get to this. Here we go. Yeah, I think that, wait, I need to go back to this because it's not sharing correctly. There we go. On my side. Perfect. So with that, a lot of you who have gone to the San Diego Angel Conference, you already know who the investors are, you know who's coming in. But before any pitch, whoever is doing a 10-minute for somebody else, make sure that you get introduced to the people who might be in that meeting. Arrive prepared, come early to set up. If you're going to have some kind of networking component to it, especially at San Diego Angel Conference for the 10-minute, you want to come early, you want to network and make sure that you're right in front of those investors. Some of them might have like questions before you pitch, so you can maybe augment that pitch or augment the Q&A based on some of the questions that they ask you in the networking. Research the investors. You now know a couple of investors, especially in SDAC, who are coming into those meetings all the time. Research them, know why they're here. Practice extensively. You know what your 3-minute looks like because you've probably already done it, but at 10 minutes, a little bit longer. So you want to practice that. And I would practice to 8 minutes of a presentation so that you can kind of go a little bit slower. And if you're feeling that you're going slower or faster, you have 2 minutes to augment a little bit of your presentation. You want to engage your audience. Obviously, you want to tell your story. And again, show, don't tell. Take that audience down a really great journey. Keep them intrigued, keep them excited so that they want to invest more time with you. And lastly, I think this is one of my last slides. Yeah, no, second to last. Some of the top investor questions that I've seen for after the 10-minute, even after the 10-minute, people are going to have questions. Company histories, like when did you start operating? Why create this company? Your founder story, the genesis story is something that really intrigues investors. Before they go into due diligence and spend a lot of time with you, they're going to be like, can I actually see myself spending 40 hours, usually is due diligence, 40 hours of time within this founder. This is when it gets a little bit, more personal, right? Like, would they want to be in their portfolio? So think about that in the top questions. Team dynamics is, how did you all meet? Why are you the right team? That's important, because if somebody has been one of the companies from San Diego Angel Conference last year, they worked together as a team for about 15 plus years. They're just doing something different in like a serial entrepreneur type of process, and people are like, they know each other. That's not going to be a problem. The problem is actually getting to market. But if these people have never seen each other, or now had a lot of experience working with each other, that might be something that is a problem, right? Let's say as they're dealing with growth and starting that company. Market potential is target market size. You already kind of went through it, but how big is it? How big is it in a global market? You need to know those questions, those answers to those questions, and minimal penetration needed to actually make the revenue that you want to. Traction is MVP status. Sometimes when you're talking, people don't really know where you're at in the process of the research and development. So usually some questions are to clarify, where exactly are you at? Because they're thinking, okay, if I want to invest $50,000, $100,000 into this company, I need to know exactly what you're going to be using the funds for, even if you say it in the use of funds. Where are you at, and really how much do you need? Sometimes there's a course correction there of really truly how much you need. You might need twice as much as you are asking for, and that's a great conversation, or you're asking for too much. Success factors. Why will you succeed? Be very honest. Like, I will succeed because of this. Take that ownership, take that gumption to really go forwards, and let them know what that looks like. Capital history, prior raises, current commitments, valuation. They're going to ask you all those questions, and valuation at the very early stage, you're basically throwing a dart in so many words. So talk about the assumptions that you're making to throw that dart. That's what they're looking for. And the prior raises are who's on your cap table. Not that you have to expound on everybody, but who are the major players? So they're asking that because they're asking, who can we reach out to ask the questions that we have right now that might be covered in, let's say, a due diligence report or in a conversation that they can have. So that's just putting that out there. Financial health is how much is in the cash in the bank. Monthly burn rate, what's your runway? Burn rate means every single month, how much are you burning money? And then runway is based on the burn and the churn, how much time do you have until you're no longer a company, right? That's just something that is very tried and true for startups, that you need to know those two things. And then just some words of wisdom at the end is focus on excellence. You want to be 10x better at one thing that is better than being 2 to 3x better and isn't just enough. In life science, sometimes you can't really get to the 10x better. So that's the only time that I would say, like, what does I've done a lot of customer discovery, and sometimes customer discovery, and especially life sciences, that customer that you're talking to, they're like, we just need it to be incrementally better, and all of our research and all of our testing will really be dramatically changed. But you as an entrepreneur want to be like 10x, and you're doing so much, it's going to take you like 15 plus years to do that. Talk to that customer about what are they looking for as a solution. Move quickly. Time is your enemy. Build quickly, iterate constantly, pivot when needed. It's okay to pivot. Just communicate that to an investor. Even if you pivot from the 3-minute to 10-minute, have that conversation. Hey, we pivoted because we did a lot of more customer interviews. We have a new prototype. It's working really great in this element. Talk about that. Find the sweet spot. Target a growing market with a big problem and a simple solution. I know that's like super easy to say and very hard to execute, but hone in on communicating why that's important. And then of course, listen to your market. You don't know, the market does. Ask often and learn from rejection, right? It's like if a customer saying, no, I do not want this, it's okay. Why don't you want it? What would it take to have you want my product? Oh, interesting. You needed to be looking this way or looking that way, or produce this way or produce that way, or sustainable, whatever that looks like. You want to ask those really critical questions of your customer. Yeah, so that's the end of my presentation here for the 10-minute. And I'm going to go back here and answer any questions that people have. Yeah. Anybody can ask questions. Kabir, you said your co-founder is in the audience. Can he ask a question? Oh,
Can he answer a question if an investor has something
Great
that's
question.
directed towards a physician?
Yeah, and that I'm so glad that you brought that up, because in a 3-minute, you might have 3-minute of Q&A, 3-minute presentation, 3-minute of Q&A. It's hard to like bring somebody else up, and then you don't have enough time. With a 10-minute, I would have one person or two people if you want to. I would highly recommend just one present. I would have him be up in the Q&A.
That's what we were hoping.
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
I will be pitching throughout. Yeah.
Yeah, you pitch the presentation, and then the scientists, so that everybody's kind of like, whoever's a scientist, technologist, even a marketing person, if you're really heavy on like, path to market, all the people can come up to the top, especially this is for San Diego Angel Conference, I know, but for other entities as well, the team can go up and answer questions. You just have to be like, if they ask this question, you have to just talk to your co-founder who answers what. And if that co-founder answers blah, 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 you do not say yes and, right? That's the only thing that sometimes it gets a little squirrely there. If he answers, great, have him answer, move on to the next question, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure if there was something very focused that would be better answered by him, because he is the physician in our company. He can speak from firsthand experience, and I can only guess some of the things that he can speak to from direct experience. So thank you, Silvia.
Yeah, and it also shows solidarity that you have, two people up there. It is an experienced team. Sometimes investors see like a CEO that's very gung-ho, and the technologists, they're not around, or they're a scientist, or like a academician or a professor at a university that really isn't part of the team. So we want to, there's a little bit of what are we seeing in between the lines that showcase that this team is solid. This team, he answers science, you answer business. You guys have already talked about it. That is what we see whenever it's coordinated really well. Oh yeah, so how much time do we have for Q&A? I think it's 10 and 10, 10 minutes presentation, 10 minutes in Q&A for San Diego Angel Conference. And you'll find out all that information on Friday when we all meet together in conversations. For other people that are pitching other organizations, other angel groups and funds, that is a great question to ask, right? Because you're like, oh, I don't know. It's a very easy question to ask whoever you're pitching to. Hey, I have a 10-minute pitch. I'm so honored for the opportunity to pitch to you. What does that look like? Is it a 10-minute pitch and 10-minute Q&A? Is there no Q&A? Because what's important is you can leave out of the 10-minute pitch what you want to cover in the Q&A, right? You have enough time, but there's some strategy behind leaving maybe a couple things out, or do you want to clarify it in the Q&A? You want to kind of, I say, throw a breadcrumb at them, right? Saying whatever that is, and then you see the investors, their eyes light up. You're like, just wait until the question and answer. I have more stuff, right? So you're baiting them. You want to call it baiting or cookie crumbing, whatever you want to call it. That's one way of doing that. Yeah, go ahead.
Silvia, what if you have a visual demo? Because you may not have it in the 10 minutes, but like a brief 30-second video or something, so they can get a concept of how the product works.
Yeah, I never recommend video just because it can really mess up. So I would not recommend in presentation. I would, if you want to do in the Q&A, you can. I would just say if it starts not working, you have to have a second a backup. right? So whatever you're going to present, have a backup of some sort, because I've seen somebody blow their whole Q&A just trying to figure out how to do that because they banked on showing that that demo. So just be prepared on either side.
Great, thank you.
Other questions from the audience? I think one question that I get a lot is that, do I create like a 20 pitch deck for a 10-minute pitch? And I say, no, right? You want to estimate about 1 minute per slide. So that's an estimate. There's some slides that are like, your title slide is going to be like 2 seconds, right? So I would, no matter what, prepare all the slides that I can. I would just like if you want to do 20, go ahead and say, okay, what are the 10 that I want to have in my 10-minute pitch, or maybe 15, let's say 10 to 15, and practice it. Do I fit into like an 8 or 9 minute time frame? Perfect, done. And then put the rest of them in the Q&A after an appendix slide, because then you know how to reference it. Sometimes in the appendix slide, like cover, you can actually link the slide number 25 to different elements that you want to go into, so that when you're on that slide, you can click into it and it goes straight to that other slide. You can do something like that. That shows that you're prepared, that you know all the questions that people are going to be asking you. So I usually tell this example that one of my portfolio companies, she was a child car seat company that is cleaning a car, children's car seats, called Tot Squad. And one of the number one question she always got was, what about liability, right? Does she want to put that in the 10-minute pitch and talk about something a little bit not negative, but something that is a little bit sticky? No, she wanted to be, this is my business. This is how we're doing traction. This is how we're going to get to market. This is my team. We're rocking it. We're doing this. This is our product. Woohoo. And then the first question she always got was liability. Boom. She had that first question as a slide, and she walked through it for like 2 minutes or 1 minute or something like that. So she really was able to pause and talk about this. She's prepared. She knows the first question. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, she knows it for a question. She goes, I've been given this question so many times. I'm good. So you can prepare that way as well. Yeah, Michelle.
Yeah, I have another question. So if we've talked about our founder story and user story at the beginning, what do you recommend? Do you recommend saying that again for the 10-minute pitch?
Great question. Yeah, that's a fantastic question, especially I'm going to do SDAC and then I'm going to do general. So San Diego Angel Conference, about, I would say 75% of the angels that are seeing you in the 10-minute have already seen you. You have 25% that have never seen you, right? Because they can come in anytime into the process, and we're always trying to get new investors. So I would not assume that they already know what you are doing. You want to say it again, but you also have 75% that have already seen you, right? So you have to play that delicate balance of saying enough to refresh their memory about what you're doing, and do the 10-minute as if it's a standalone, because you never know what investor is going to come in, and those are recorded. So whoever comes in maybe in the 9th hour, right, they can see all of those videos and then get a handle of what you're doing, and then be able to invest. So that's that. I would just do it as that way. For any other pitch competition outside of San Diego Angel Conference, I would say the same sort of thing. Make it so that it's a standalone, because they might be recording it. Somebody might be coming in, a new partner sees it for the first time, an analyst sees it for the first time, and they're like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. And especially when you're talking about even somebody who's already seen it, they're like, oh, this makes complete sense now. Now that I see a longer version, I can sit with it longer. I might have a different approach to what you're doing. So no matter what, I would reframe it. I wouldn't. And I thought your question, my last thing is, I thought your question would be, if you introduce yourself at the very beginning of a pitch, do you actually repeat yourself at the very end, the team slide? So a lot of people do front end saying, we are the team. This is the co-founding team. We do this because we do this, right? So you're setting that bar really high, and then you're talking about the story, and then you hit them with the team again. I wouldn't say the same thing as you said at the very beginning. You would say, and this team that, remember we talked about at the very beginning, we're supported by a really great team of experts, kind of, you're talking about your bench strength, right? You have these 2 co-founders, awesome, like founder story, really strong. Boom, who's your bench strength? That's what I would do as a beginning and end type of storytelling.
Thank you.
Okay, what are good reasons for finding more pitch competitions? Is it normally 1, 3, 10-minute pitches? Yeah, so there is a lot of pitch competitions out there. There's some generalist pitch competitions that are like San Diego, Startup San Diego has like a pitch for anybody in any industry. The one that we saw, Brandjectory, is only CPG. So within your industry, I would be finding ones that are specific to your industry that anybody can apply to, because those lists get shared to other people in the industry. So you want to just get on everybody's list to be able to pitch. And then for the pitch competitions of, let's say, an angel investing group that might have a pitch competition, you would get on there. Then it kind of goes all over the place. Some people do a 30-second pitch, right? And they give out money that way. I don't know. Some of them do 3, 5, 10. What I would recommend for any entrepreneur is to have like that 20 deck, like, you know, pitch deck that is your entire business, and then that your team has looked at it. It's solid, it's good. And then you can pare down. I would have a 10, 5, and 3-minute pitch prepared for any entrepreneur, just so that you can go up and down with that. If you have a 3-minute pitch, you can do a 2-minute. A 10-minute pitch, you can do a 7-minute and maybe take out 1 or 2 slides. If you have a 15-minute pitch, I would do the 10-minute and like expand on, let's say, the product, depending on the pitch competition, like their reason for existing, right? Perfect. Yes. So we are done with our time right now. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the Brink SBDC. I'm Dr. Silvia Mah, and congrats to everybody who made it to the semifinals of San Diego Angel Conference. Congrats to anybody who got a 10-minute pitch opportunity. This is a huge thing for any entrepreneur. You got it. Show them what you've got. Show them your product. Show them your team. You are the ones to make whatever you're creating to the market that you're going after, and the customers are going to delight in your product. So well done, congratulations, and have a fabulous rest of your day. See you guys later.